I think from a standpoint of really what our offense faces every day at practice is going to be very similar to what they'll see on game day. So some familiarity with that, obviously. But I don't know that – I think there'll be a lot of ink wasted on this whole scenario. Nick's an outstanding football coach. Kirby Smart's an outstanding football coach. I've worked with most of the guys on their staff. They know me very well. I know them very well. But I think this game's going to come down to the Texas football team and the Alabama football team and the players that are going to be on the field. And the execution of those players and those 5 or 7 plays that come down in the game where the big plays in the game are established and what happens there. And I think that's what this game will come down to.
Coach, are you just tickled to death that here you are in Texas, playing in this game, you grew up in the South, you played, Georgia. It's just kind of sweet, isn't it?
I'm just happy to be in the game. I mean, that's, as a coach and being 38 years old and having the opportunity to be a part of it twice is pretty special. So we just need to do a great job of preparing our players and seize the opportunity. And it's going to be a fun game. It's a game that's everybody's going to be watching, and to have the opportunity to be a part of it, it's exciting.
Coach said you obviously we're not supposed to treat it like it's just any other game, especially in practice. Is there any part of you that's just a little bit more excited?
No, I think that again, I don't. As far as the preparation is concerned, it's just it's another game, and I know nobody likes to hear that, and that's boring. But that's just the way it is, and that's the way I approach all games with the players. Because when you try to start treating one more important than the other, they notice, and they see that maybe Coach might be a little tight in this one. Well, no, it's going to be the same approach, and whether we're playing Monroe or any game, it's just all the same to me. And that's where I think when you get that, you get more consistency in performance with your players. And I think throughout the year, other than one football game, we've been pretty consistent in what we've tried to do with the kids.
That's what these defenses are similar because of you being under Saban too. Do you
Sure.
see that?
I think so, and I haven't watched a lot of them, but I think that the guy calling the defense is Kirby Smart's an outstanding coach, and does a great job. Is a good friend, and I think philosophically and schematically we believe in a lot of the same things, as far as whether it's a deny the ball down or a zone down or a pressure down, and so I really think that they have there'll be a lot of carryover in how you watch the game.
So do you and Greg talk even more during this time?
Well, we always talk about what gives you issues in these down and distances, these personnel groupings. So I think that there obviously will be a lot of carryover.
Coach, can you talk about the Alabama offense? People have talked about as the years gone by that Mack seems to have developed certain things. That's really grown through the year. Are you seeing that on show as well, from first game, early games to later games?
I think so. I think as a first-year starter, maybe as the play caller, as Jim McElwain as the offensive coordinator, you find what your players feel comfortable doing. And obviously the quarterback positions, you got to find that rhythm for him and what he feels comfortable with. And I think you've seen a little bit of that as the years rolled along. I think they've played really well up front offensively. They obviously have a matchup issue outside with Julio Jones, who's an outstanding player, and Mays and Hanks are both really good complements. Colin Peak, when he was injured, set them back some because he's a really good player and he does a good job in the passing game for him. And you got two backs that are outstanding in Ingram and Richardson. Richardson would start everywhere else in the country, just playing behind Mark Ingram, who's a really good player. So, but I've seen his process as far as McElroy is concerned, a guy that's really come along, very accurate with the football. As an offense, they only have 10 turnovers for the year, so they take care of the ball. They don't give up a lot of negative plays, so they're not behind in the chains very much. They manage the game for third down. I think he's done a great job of being efficient in what they do as the years rolled along. And their biggest game of the year, he played outstanding against Florida.
Can you expand on that, on the running back situation? It's weird they have the Heisman Trophy winner, but there's not a lot of drop-off when you get to Richardson even.
Really not. I mean, you look at Roy Upchurch has been a guy that's played a lot of good football for him through the years, and I think Trent Richardson would be a starter at most places in the country. And they've obviously done a good job of evaluating and recruiting backs.
They talked a lot about that earlier, about going back to basics in this bowl preparation. As a coach, as a teacher, is that fun for you guys to kind of get back to what it was like in August and early September?
Well, I think as far as sometimes during the week as you prepare, you're hurried because you've got a deadline as far as your installation is concerned. And right now, we're just going back to basics and fundamentals of defense, of what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish, striking up front, playing with our hands up front, playing with our low pad level, tackling well, as much as we can do at this point, and emphasizing the basic fundamentals for our players. And then we've inserted a little bit on Alabama each day, not a lot, because I think when you do too much of it, they get bored. And when you move this far away from game time, it becomes boring for them. And you want to leave a little bit for these next 3 days after Christmas, and we'll really hone in when we get out to Pasadena.
Do you sense their anxiousness, though, to either, whether it's getting to Alabama or getting out to LA or doing?
I think we've done a good job as a staff of really just identifying what we're practicing for each day. This is going to be a 1st and 10 day, a 2nd down day. We're going to emphasize and we're going to work versus each other. So I think the players understand the point of practice and what we're trying to do right now.
How do you handle Christian Scott? I mean, I know at the beginning of the year you were expecting big things, but then you haven't had it all year. So do you worry about?
Well, he'll be on special teams, and we're going to work him in the rotation defensively. And how he practices through these next 8-10 practices will determine how much he'll play. But we're trying to find ways to get him on the field.
Is Ingram the kind of guy that gets better during the course of a game, or starts out full horse and goes, or exactly what?
He looks good early and looks good late. But he's a one-cut runner. He gets the ball north and south is what I see. I mean, he does a nice job, and whether it's a zone or stretch scheme of finding the hole, of cutting the ball back, staying, pressing the ball front side, and finding the air in the run in the defense. And he gets north and south, and when he does, he hits it quick. I don't know how fast he is, but for 10 or 15 yards, he's really fast, and he really gets the ball north and south. And he's a low center of gravity guy, so it's a guy you're not going to get easy shots on soft areas on him.
Anything you see in the 3 games he didn't produce? Was there anything that, there were 3 games he had like 55 or less, I think.
Again, he runs hard, and I think that, and he got banged up in a couple of those 3. So I don't know that anything anybody did special. They just do a nice job of getting a hat on a hat in the run game, getting movement up front, climbing on the second level. You got to tackle in this game. And, the biggest concern you have is a defensive coordinator going into a bowl game or going to the first game of the year is live tackling, because we won't do a bunch of that going into the game. I mean, that's just, and so that's always a concern, and this game's going to come down to eye control in the back end and the run game, and leveraging the ball and tackling.
Anything else?